Hi guys, this is Jamie. So today we're going to be talking about detransitioning, and specifically, I didn't really notice how much emphasis people have been, and specifically trans guys have been putting on asking people who detransitioned, kind of their opinions on being trans. Now, I guess for context, I have to say that um, this is what I noticed from recently questioning people. So back in my day, or when I was discovering, it was pretty much a big taboo to talk to the trans people. Um, and it still feels very murky to me. Like, why would you talk to them? Because, well, they were kind of seen as not good news at all. And you've kind of had TERFs, obviously, and recently you have the Kira Bell case, which pretty much shot everyone in the foot in the UK. So it feels very odd to me that, regardless of however you spin it, that you're even talking to such people. Like, it's the same if. I know not everyone who detransitions is a TERF, but it feels really weird. It's like, why would you knock on someone who most likely is a TERF to ask them if you're trans? Because I was talking to someone, and their criticism was that, well, the trans boards usually say that you're always trans and etc. And that is true to an extent, but at the same time, you still get quite critical people who will say pretty mean stuff as well. So I never understood that, uh, and from the perspective of just thinking that detrans people have some input. Like, to me, it feels like if you are walking down the street and you ask a random person, "Hey, am I trans?" It's like, okay, the person went on hormones. The person found that it wasn't for them. Like, of course, there are people who think they're binary trans and then realize that they're non-binary, or that they might have jumped the gun and they're not trans. But these are really small numbers. And people really like to emphasize as if they're huge. Like, I won't be able to pull statistics out of my ass, but I don't know. Please understand that this is my opinion. I was questioning my gender throughout a long while of my life, and I I've been knowing that I'm openly trans for about nearly 10 years. So that is a long while ago. And plus, I've had my uh, insecurities and doubts when I was a child. So hearing that you need to talk to the trans people, or that it's a method that some trans people or questioning people use, is just absolutely bonkers to me. Because it's always the trans stuff, like, which you get forwarded by relatives, which you'll have to read just because someone's being a dick to you, you know? Like, what kind of privileged shit is this, you know? Like, you literally get shoved, yeah, well, what if you're not trans, if you're gonna regret it, by family, by friends, and etc. So hearing something as absurd as this, um, is just weird. And now, I do understand that people do obviously question. It's a very difficult journey, and we don't have a lot of support, but um, at the end of the day, you need to ask doctors, in my opinion. Obviously, there's Planned Parenthood in the US, but coming from a non US perspective, and from the fact that it's only a very specific US thing. You just go for doctors which understands and which will help you, which guide you. Of course, there are bad doctors, but like the one experience that I know where someone got turned down hormones was because the person wasn't trans. So maybe I'm speaking from my perspective, but I feel like the transitioners are having a massive platform which they really shouldn't. Because, like, I was watching even Drag Race, Jesus Christ, and like you have people who realize they're non-binary or they're not trans after, you know, experimenting, seeing what fits, what gender are they, and in the end they just step away. So seeing the trans people which stay within the community or their own detrans community and you ask them stuff, it's like, why are you still here? Why are you giving people advice? I don't know. Like, it's literally asking a cis person, what makes you cis? Like, maybe I understand that you want to, like, exclude everything, but to make sure that you're right, and I can see the logic behind that, but sweetie, just think of yourself. What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is honestly my own opinion. And again, keep in mind that I transitioned a while back. I understood that I was trans a while back. But I just think that in this very hateful world, in this very hateful climate, specifically questioning people right now shouldn't be exposed to such crap. I'm not saying every detransitioner is crap, obviously. But I just think that we as a community have better people to look up to. And we can look up to trans people. Sure, we don't have that much visibility, but it's better to ask someone who's trans who went through those struggles, or someone non-binary who went through those struggles, if you're between, you know, non-binary and binary trans. But asking a detransitioner who stays in trans spaces, it sounds really preachy to me. And this is my stance, and it's something that I really want to speak up because I had no idea this was even happening. So yeah, kind of pretty much summarized all of that. So I'd say do your research, talk to your doctor. There are very little cases where people regret it after they pass the doctors. Kira Bell is just a fucking asshole. And the sooner we forget about Kira Bell, the better. People are trained. Yes, of course, you can get pressure from the outside. And the most reasons of detransitioning has always been because they don't get accepted. Yes, it's very difficult, but that is not a reason to listen to someone who detransitions and who's scared. Or who ends up, you know, just ask a stranger on the street at this point. So, yeah. Thank you for standing my shorter videos. It's just that I happen to kind of go straight to the point these days. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe because that's what everyone says and that actually does help. So thank you very much.